Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash, divine to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, the great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Shalom. All right, back in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7. Okay, and this is a chapter that you probably hear, different brothers going to, well, not the chapter itself, but, particular scripture, within this chapter that you probably hear often. But let's just get into it. So, and it says warning. So it says, when the Lord Yahweh, thy power, shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh, thy power, shall deliver them before thee, okay, because, it's the Lord that fights the battle, all right? It's the Lord that wins, the battle. And as I think we spoke about that last time, like if the Lord tells you not to go into a battle, don't go into that battle. But if he tells you to go, hey, it's already done. You just got to muster up the courage and go and fight. And when Yahweh, thy power, shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them. See, when the Lord shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. And we always go into this word covenant, but let's get it anyways. All right, Barayath, like alliance or pledge between men, treaty, alliance, league, man to man. Okay, friendship. It even says, all right, you shall not make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy, all right, that's a big one, nor shew mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, all right, and these things are pretty much straightforward and clear, all right, and well, I will just keep going. It says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, so don't give your daughters unto these Hamite men, okay, to be so-called wives to them, nor his daughter, all right, thou thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So don't take any of their daughters, even if they might have been beautiful, all right, it doesn't even matter. Don't take their daughters to be your wives, so-called, which really would be a concubine, all right. Only Israelite women are supposed to be wives, all right, but if it's a woman of another nation, she's a concubine. But same difference here, in this particular case. Just to cover the point in the verse, for they will, and here's the main reason, all right, and that's why up above it said warnings, okay. For they will turn away thy son from following me. Perfect example, we talk about all the time, King Solomon, all right. His sin was not having 1,000 wives. His sin was when those women were supposed to put away their false gods and idols and the things that they knew and serve the Lord. Doesn't mean they were special. Doesn't mean they were going to get salvation one day in the end, or they're now Israelites, spiritual Israelites, nothing like that. That's just because they're in your house. No different. Who's that? Abraham. It was Abraham. Yeah, he had servants. Okay. I'm pretty sure all those servants, we can't say for sure, but trying to make a point here. All those servants may have not been Israelites, okay? Those could have been, heathen served under him. Or, I mean, we could just stick with, the example of Solomon anyways, nonetheless, because the point I was making is those women are supposed to put away everything that they know, mainly their false gods, idols, and serve the Lord, okay? And so, the warning here is, if you give your daughters and your sons, all right, and and vice versa, give your daughters away and take their daughters, all right, then your daughters are basically going to be bringing in heathens on the planet and probably fall away to worshiping whatever Canaanite god or whatever the case may be, and then your sons, all right, your sons will take their daughters and they may worship the Lord, but their daughters, like that's why we're using the example of King Solomon, they may entice them to follow the false god and idol or whatever the case may be, and then have your sons fall away. So That's how that works there. So that's why it says warning. For they will turn away thy son from following me. And notice, though it said daughters up above and then sons, it went to the main thing first in the point scripture in verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. See? So will the anger of the Lord Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So it wasn't just, I'm destroy the son. All right, the anger, because the Lord deals with the people, nationally. All right. That's why you often hear the prophets in the Bible say, we have sinned, okay? Not putting themselves above anyone else. We have sinned, all right? Because the Lord is going to deal with that nation as a whole, all right? Verse 5 says, but thus shall ye deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, okay? We can get the word altar. Maybe someone's new, all right? All right, Mazabah. So it just says altar straightforward. I mean, you should know what an altar is. Because these other nations, they have their false gods idols too. All right, they have altars that they which without altar, we couldn't put like certain things we were building for the Lord. Excuse me, we couldn't use axes and whatever else, hammers and stuff. We just had to be stones. All right, just like they are. It says, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images. Okay, their images being the false gods and idols. All right, Matazavah is the word. Pillar, mastabah, stump. Pillar as a monument, personal memorial with an altar, stock, stump of tree. Natazab. All right, it's going to something else there. But break down their images and cut down their groves. All right, because a grove would be a place, an altar that was surrounded by trees. Is like a secret place. Like what's that place called is that in California? That they use where the owl statue is. I forget the name of it, but I mean the point is right there in what I'm speaking about. If you know what I'm talking about, the grove, because it's an owl somewhere in a forest. It's surrounded by trees, and there's an altar there that they do these mock rituals and mock human sacrifices and all this kind of crazy mess like that, right? To a 40-foot owl statue, which is an idol. All right. So if they're doing that today, that's a perfect example of things that were taking place back then, especially dealing with these these Hamitic nations, because they'll have a god for everything. All right. Egypt, right? Gods of Egypt, right? They got a god for this, a god for that, god for the water, god for the air, trees, party. They got a god for everything. All right. And so the Lord's warning, about these things so that you're not taken away. Il Asherah, all right, groves, see, for idol worship. A Babylonian, okay, Astarte, Canaanite goddess of fortune and happiness. See, there's one of them right there. The supposed consort of Baal. Her images, the goddesses, her images, sacred trees and poles. See, there you go. Sacred trees or poles set up near an altar. As a matter of fact, now it makes me want to pull up the word grove and see if we can Google punch it. Grove is a small group of trees with minimal or no undergrowth or a small orchid planted for, see what it says, planted for the cultivation of fruits or nuts. So that's not the one we wanted. Oh, okay, it says R. I thought it said altar. But okay, here's one. Let's see what it says here. A cluster of trees or a resting spot such as an orchard or an oasis. The sacred places referred to in the scriptures are probably groves of oaks, often designed as high places. They are places places of worship of the pagan gods, Baal and Astarte. And that's why it was in the definition there. All right. We can pull this chick up, I guess. There you go. Astarte is the Greek form of the name. I can't see it. Okay, Ashtart, who, along with Asherah and Anath, was one of the three great goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. Okay, because you had, I think the pantheon. I can't remember if it was three main gods or if there was more than that. But that pantheon is talking about their top gods and goddesses, I guess, gods and goddesses that they worshipped. The pantheon. Okay, was one of the three great goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. Astarte is well known as a goddess of sexual love and fertility, but also has association with war. There you go. See, tying right into the things that we talked about. I don't see anything about Baal though. Look at this thing on a horse. What the hell? Here's the name right there. Baal was one of the primary deities worshipped by several ancient cultures in the Middle East. While there were several gods named Baal, that's interesting. I never heard that before. While there were several gods named Baal, the most significant of the deities was found in the mythology of the Canaanites. Baal was most often portrayed as a strong warrior and was considered the god of storms and fertility. See, so there you go. So these things here is what they were you know, what these heathens do. But by default is what they do. Oh, beautiful, because hey, beautiful. Yep, the water Habashim Shah. Once again, going back to Deuteronomy chapter 4, he says, lest you see things that are in the earth, under the sea, all right, the stars, the moon, and stuff, you worship them, all right. But he gave them to the nations to worship. Beautiful, beautiful, right there. So let's go into something else. So yeah, so you get it right there. So the groves, all right, were a place where they would have an altar. I don't know, maybe it was made out of stones or whatever, probably more than likely an altar, and it was surrounded by a bunch of trees. Okay. And we gave the example of that. Actually, I think it is called the Grove, all right. In I think it's in California, somewhere like that. The 40-foot owl statue. You can look it up for yourself. That's a grove, all right. An altar to an idol, right? Because they would have their idol out there, and an altar for that idol to do whatever, sacrifice for that idol, and it's surrounded by trees. It's basically a hidden place, okay? And somewhat, the churches are like that today, all right? Because they go to the church, all right. Even I mean the what they call them, the Islamic, not exactly Islamic, but Muslims or whatever, all right? They do, even though they don't call their buildings a church, they call it a mosque. But you have Israelites who are joined up to Jesus Christ or Allah, and they go to these church buildings, okay, or mosque, whichever one, because they don't call it church. It's the same thing though. A building it's like into a grove, all right, because you're going there to an altar to worship a false god and idol, okay, and it's surrounded, it's like surrounded by trees, usually, but they are covered by four walls where people can't see what's going on inside unless they go there. See, but let's keep going. All that was understandable. Still didn't expect to go into all that. So, Barak Yahweh Shemashah. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. And this was a commandment. All right. No giving away your daughters, no taking their daughters, no putting up with their groves and their altars and their idols that are reared up at these altars and these groves. Okay. All right. Take them out. Burn them up. All right. Verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power had chosen thee. All right. He have chosen thee, meaning us. All right. Bachar, to choose, elect. All right. To be chosen, selected. To be a special people. All right. Special, sagala is the word there. Possession or property, valued property, peculiar treasure. Beautiful. Because we constantly make the point about when Ezra was chopping it up with the angel. There's one point where he was, because the angel was basically the mouthpiece for the Lord at the time. All right. Which I believe I think it was one of the archangels. Okay, I forget which one it was, but it's not important right now. I think it might have been Raphael. I might be wrong. Anyways, to get to the point though, where he was talking about, you don't love my people more than me. Okay, the Lord created. Going into chapter 8, they were speaking about how the Lord, carefully created, his people and all these different things. So why would you destroy all these? So yeah, going into all of that. But yeah, possession, property, value, property, peculiar treasure. Sagala, word for special people. Okay, what is it saying? That Jacob is the former of all things. Okay, the apple of the Lord's eye. It says above all people. All right, that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, and how was that? Okay, because remember we talked about this in the previous chapter. Once again, going back to Deuteronomy 4, you see why we talk about it so often. All right, because there's some important things that are said there. But it says that this is your wisdom in the sight of the nations. All right, so it's nothing that we were extra special about or that we did. Okay, it was the Lord choosing us. All right, pretty much that was His mercy and His choosing. Okay, for us. Okay, and what gave us, the wisdom, well, we'll say what set us apart and above the other nations is the fact that He gave us His wisdom, which was in the form of His law, statutes, and commandments. That makes sense. So that's why it says that this is your wisdom in the sight of the nations. As a matter of fact, let me get it real quick because we could better make the point if I get the chapter and just read the verse. All right. It says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding." You see, because all these things come from the Lord. All right, and it says that it starts with what? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All right. Um, so this was gifted unto us, all right, because He chose us to Himself. He set us apart, and He gifted this knowledge, and wisdom, and understanding to us. But it also came along with stipulations, which are in the form of judgments. Okay, because if we would have transgressed these things, I'm going to judge you accordingly. And He wrote the judgments down in the scriptures, and He gave those to us. It says, this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath the Most High so nigh, so close unto them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon Him for? And what nation is there so great that had statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law? You see, because this is part of the wisdom of the Lord given unto us directly, specifically. Okay. All right. Um, it says, which I set before you this day. All right. And we can read some more, but we made the point. So there you go. So yeah, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. All right. And we're known as we're seen as the woman, okay, of the Heavenly Father. All right. Turn Jeremiah 6:4. All right. I've likened you to a comely and delicate woman. That's the verse I was looking for. Deuteronomy 7:7. Yahweh did not set His love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. Okay. And now we did start to multiply amongst those Egyptians. But when you compare, no matter how many Israelites were born in this earth, speaking about in that time past, all right, if you compare us to all the other nations together, okay, 18 nations. So if you compare the other 17 nations to us, no matter how numerous we were still going to be smaller in number, okay, to them. But it says, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because, hold on, I got my gloves. Oh, there we go. But because Yahweh loved you, okay, He loved you. I believe the word for love is ahab. All right, yeah, ahab. Well, actually, it says ahaba. I think ahab is the word, and when it's like ahaba, I believe that makes the word feminine. All right, ahaba. But I believe the word, because I see ahab right here, love. Okay, look, there you go. Look, God's love to His people at the bottom, number 2. Right, love, amours only. Okay. So there you go. But because Yahweh loved you, and because He will keep the oath which He hath sworn unto your fathers, hath Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Okay, direct, specific history for us. All right. Now, therefore, know therefore that, excuse me, know therefore that Yahweh thy power, He is the Most High, the faithful God. All right, because He doesn't lie. All right, He keeps His word. Okay, He's the faithful God, which keepeth covenant. There's that word covenant again. All right, and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. So this was, once again, the subheading was warning. And as we said I believe like the last two chapters, these things were warnings because they were being reiterated to the children of Israel before we went into the land to remember these things. Okay. And even Joshua did the same thing after the wars. All right. He gathered them together. He gave another final warning. All right. Another pep talk. All right. And then everybody was able to go home to the lands that were given to them, which we conquered by war. Okay. So, yeah. Um, Know therefore that Yahweh thy power, he is the Most High, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. All right. Basically a rebellious Israelite. Okay. And there's even laws that touch on, one particular thing I'm thinking about anyways, when I said the law, an Israelite try to entice you to go follow some false god and idol, you're supposed to bring that person, out to the council, right? And let it be known amongst the elders and on down, all right? So this person we put to death, and guess what? You will be the first one to put that person to death. And what makes it even more heavier, this could have been one of your closest friends, but he or she, whoever, all right, try to get you to go off for the idol. You would have to be the first person to lift up, all right, to put that person in that, that control or delete, right? And then everybody else will follow suit. But it was to put wickedness away from Israel, all right? But keep it known, it says, and repay them that hate him to their face and to destroy them. He would not be slack to him that hated him. See, he would not be slack. Like the man that picked up the sticks on the Sabbath, all right? And you might see it was as it was a small thing, which the picking up of a sticks was a small thing that the man did, but the bigger portion, the more spiritual thing behind it is the Lord had to show how serious he was about this thing. So that man was used as a I don't know the word I'm looking for, but as an example, example, all right, for how serious the Lord was about his words and the judgment to come from it. All right. So it was picking up a stick. It was a small thing, but to the Lord, it was not a light thing. And so he had to show the proper judgment. So it says he would not be slack to him that hated him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. All right. Promises of the highest. Excuse me. Oh, beautiful. It links up to Deuteronomy 28. Yep. And those things are going to come at the top of that chapter when the kingdom is established. And then what's really he's going to even amplify that more. All right. Because what Isaiah 61 is one of those chapters I'm thinking about right offhand. In a couple of scriptures, I have not seen nor ear heard the things that the Lord had prepared for those that love and wait for him. All right. Isaiah 64 and 4. Same thing that was repeated in 1 Corinthians 2 and 9, I believe it is. There's another one in Luke 12 and 32. Fear not, little flock, is your father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Another one in Isaiah, I believe it's 65 and 24, where it says, before you think it, I'm going to bless you. Just kind of roughly paraphrasing the scripture. So many things, many more scriptures, right? That just, foreshadow the splendor and the glory of the kingdom, from the mercy that the Lord has promised, us in the latter days. But we really don't know what it's like. We could read it, but we really truly don't know what it's like until we actually experience it. Okay. And that time is near. But let's keep going. All right. It says, promises of the highest. And also Leviticus 26 is another chapter, because Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28 are pretty much the same chapter. They're just slightly different. All right. But Deuteronomy 28 hits it more heavy, going into the blessings and then the curses. All right. It hits it a little bit more heavier than Leviticus 26. All right. Verse 12 says, wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord Yahweh thy power shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. All right. See, it says, if you keep it, all right, then it says, unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers, going back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. You have a land flowing with milk and honey. All right. You'll be For multitude as the stars of heaven, the sands of the sea, the dust of the earth, okay, and so on and so forth. All right, because we know the promise trickled down, that oath from Abraham to Isaac, from Isaac to Jacob, from Jacob to the 12 to us. All right, and he will love thee and bless thee and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, which talk about your children. All right, and the fruit of thy land. Okay, straightforward. Thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. All right, the increase of thine kind and the flocks of thy sheep in the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Which what's that scripture? It's one in let me see if I can find it real quick. I'm gonna go to the Apocrypha. The APOC. Uh 39. Let's see, I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'm right on it. Is that it? Yeah. Ecclesiastes 39. Okay, and I guess we'll read 25, 126. For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are good. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. There you go. All right, so continuing on, verse 14 says, "Thou shalt be blessed above all people." Let's get the word for blessed. All right, Barak, to bless, to kneel. Okay, yeah, thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. All right, so I mean that's pretty much straightforward. There should not be male or female barren among you. All right, so nobody's going to be sterile. Everybody, yeah, the man's semen is not going to be sterile, and the woman's womb is not going to be dead. And then it says among you, all right, or among your cattle, among your animals, because we need those, all right, for sacrifices, offerings, field work. I almost said field hand, but I believe that's more so dealing with a person. But field labor, all right, certain animals, all right, you got sheep and whatever else you might have, all right, those cattle, okay, because we're gonna need them to reproduce. All right. And Yahweh will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. All right. And we definitely know about those diseases of Egypt because we were there. Okay. So this wasn't like a heavy reminder. Okay. We were there. We were in Goshen. All right. Where nothing was happening. Um, but the Egyptians were getting the business. Okay, so we knew exactly what was happening. Okay, so we understood what was being said here, and we understood how heavy those things were that the Lord brought upon the those Egyptians there. All right, so verse 16 says, "And thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy power shall deliver thee." See, once again, same thing, that the Lord shall deliver thee, or you shall consume these people. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them. There you go, twice. Once mercy, second time says pity. Same difference. They shall have no pity upon them. Like, who cares? Neither shall thou. It's gonna be the same way in the kingdom. Okay. Now we're not gonna just want to delete our slaves. Okay, because you need the slaves, but you get my point. All right. They'll be yours to do as you wish, especially Esau, just like Esau, right? Um, Neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee. See, now mind you, this is talking about back then in the land. Now there ain't gonna be no other gods, this, that, and the third thing in the kingdom. All right, the Lord alone shall be exalted in those days. So it says, "Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee." So it's reiterating what is said up above: not to give your daughters away, not for your sons to take their women, okay, and to destroy their groves and their idols and burn their altars with fire. Okay. if thou shalt say in thine heart, meaning your mind, okay, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? So basically, you saying in your mind, you're thinking in your mind, like, there's more, especially to these Canaanites. You had like the Anakins, some of these dudes was tall as hell. Okay, so it's like, man, look at these guys here. All right, how could we defeat them? Okay, now mind you, I gotta keep making that clear. This is when we're still with Moses before we went over Jordan, because when we went into these wars, Joshua was leading. Okay, and then you go into those accounts where you get some of those who was that one guy? I forget his name, but he was like 12 and a half feet tall or something like that. Or I think his bed was like 12 and a half feet. He was up there, okay? Goliath, he was up there, which I was more so dealing with David's time. I was just making a point of, these giant people, man, okay? So there were tall, really tall people like that back then, okay? Which you could see a shadow of that today with people like Shaq and Yao Ming and stuff like that, right? Super tall guys, all right? So yeah, if thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? So hey, there's more. Okay, might even be thinking that they're stronger. All right, how are we gonna, we're gonna take them over, dispossess them? Are we gonna take their things, take over their, the word is Yarash, to seize, dispossess, take possession of, inherit, see, occupy. All right, look, being heir, because you're taking what their things from them. Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what Yahweh thy power did unto Pharaoh and to all Egypt. See, thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember, because you were there, what Yahweh thy power did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt, going into what? The plagues. Okay. And then afterwards, he eventually destroyed Pharaoh and his army in the sea. The great temptations The great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand. See, the signs and the wonders, okay? Because a sign, all right, a signal, a banner, miraculous sign, warning, omen, token, see, miracle proof, all right? And the wonders in the mighty hand, um, and the stretched out arm, whereby the Lord Yahweh thy power brought thee out. So shall Yahweh thy power do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. See, Lord speaking about this, how he displays his power. Moreover, unto the Lord, moreover, the Lord thy God will send the hornet among them until they that are left. And I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I read it right. Let me read it again. Moreover, the Lord Yahweh thy power will send the hornet among them until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Okay, and he sent the hornets. Okay, we might actually be able to precept that. See if we can find where he sent the hornets. Just Joshua 24:12. It's also said here in Exodus 23. I think so. Actually, I don't see it. We can read it anyways. Exodus 23 and 28. I will send hornets. Oh, yeah, it is in the first verse. I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, see, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. These Canaanite nations, these Hamite nations, people. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. See, so he did it, slowly over time. All right, these battles that we went into. By little and little, see, will I drive them out from before thee until thou be increased and inherit the land. Joshua 24:12. And I sent the hornet before you. All right, so this is read in hindsight now. I sent the hornet before you, which drave them out from before you, even the two kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword, nor with thy bow. Okay, so we can go back. Actually, wonder what that next verse is. And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor. Okay, beautiful. And cities which ye built not, and you dwell in them, of the vineyards and olive yards which ye planted not to do ye eat. See, and that was said in this chapter. I'll leave up above, or maybe the last chapter. Verse 21 says, "Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for Yahweh thy power is among you, a mighty God and terrible. And Yahweh thy power will put out those nations before thee by little." Beautiful, same thing. See, by little and little, thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. See, But Yahweh thy power shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until, I think that's the third time. Yahweh thy power shall deliver them, see, unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. Verse 24, and he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou hast destroyed them. See? And that doesn't mean afterwards somebody will be able to take us down. All right. Just meaning that you're gonna fight these battles, you're gonna win, because I'm commanding you to go and fight these battles and win, so you can take the lands that I promised you. All right, as an oath to your forefathers, I should say. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is the abomination to the Lord Yahweh thy power. See, the graven image of thy God shall ye burn with fire. Second time he said that. Thou grows at the altars, all these different things. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them. See, I don't want that. Okay. No, keep that filthy silver and gold. Okay, because they offered it to their idols probably. All right. um, that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord Yahweh thy power. Oh, and beautiful, because under Joshua, when we went into, uh, man, I can't remember if that was the account of Jericho. Oh, it was one of those places, but the guy had took the where he took the garment. Okay, I think he took like some silver or gold or something like that, and he hid it under his tent. Okay, and the Lord told him not to. All right, and there were certain things that we could take, but at that time the Lord told us not to take anything. Okay, and there was certain offerings that were supposed to be to the Lord. All right, but the guy decided to take some stuff for himself and hide it under his tent. All right, and the spirit searched it out, and it went by tribe, by family, by household, and then it got down to him. And then what happened because of that man himself? I don't think he had a wife. His wife might have passed away or something, because I don't remember mentioning his wife. But him, his family, his cattle, and his tent were all taken in stone. That was heavy right there. So yeah, last verse. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. See, but thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Let's see what the NLT reads. Do not bring any detestable objects into your home, for then you will be destroyed just like them. You must utterly detest such things, for they are set apart for destruction. Let's read one more. See what else it says. Sometimes they all read different or similar. You should not bring an abomination, idol, there you go, see, into your house. And like it and like it come into your house, and like it come under the ban, doomed to destruction. You shall utterly detest, and you shall utterly hate it, for it is something banned. Right, there you go. That's the end of Deuteronomy chapter 7. All right. I'm thinking about going into chapter 8, but I may do it a little later on when I get back in, because you get it. All right. So we will do it later, Lord willing. All right. But that's the end of Deuteronomy chapter 7. So, Lord, will you edify? Shalom.